Mm. Mm, 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 mm. Hi guys, it's Aaron Intende, and we have Enoch in our studio. So Enoch case what? Tell
Not
them.
not Keys.
Mm.
Enockey's.
Enoch
Keys is someone else in Uganda in NBS.
Okay. All right, all right. So today Enoch is taking us through his interview at the embassy, US Embassy in Nairobi. The date of interview, whatever happened from beginning to the end, and we continue from there. Please, Enoch.
All right. Thank you for having me again on this channel. So my interview, when I was called in by the consular, my number was called. I went in. I presented the required documents at the window, because when you enter, you utilize around 3 windows. There's a window where you simply present your documents, and when you present those documents, you go back and wait. In fact, you present the documents, pay the interview fee, and then you are sent back outside to wait.
By that, to elaborate on that, you take the documents wherever they receive the document from. That person will give you a receipt to pay. So that person will be determining how much are you going to pay. But the payment is already known to be $330. That is $330. So this person at the window where you presented your documents.
Yes.
What happened there? Just tell us.
So at the window, you would either find a lady or a gentleman, it depends. And what this person is basically doing, they are evaluating your documents in the first place and expect to be asked a few questions. They won't ask so many, but they'll ask a few questions. They could ask a few questions about your documents, a few questions about some personal questions maybe, and they will also ask you some basic questions. Questions like, have you ever been at the wrong side of the law? Obviously, if you say,
is that at the window where they're taking the document?
Yes.
Okay.
Now, some questions are going to intersect, right? There are some questions that both the document checker and the consular, the main consular, will ask you, the interviewer. They can ask you similar questions. So expect any question from any of them. Expect that, in other words, both windows are as important. Don't neglect any of them.
Sure.
If you mess up on one window, it can cause you to be denied on the final window.
Right.
So just be ready. Make sure you're ready to answer all questions that any of the interviewers asks you. I remember when one of the things that raised the tension when I was on the first window was when they looked at my host documents and realized that I had actually told them that I'm changing the host.
Okay.
Because at some point in the DS260, you fill the details of your host. You put in the details of who is going to host you. But if in any case that host changes, you must you must request for them to open your DS260 and you update. Now, some people will tell you that, no, you don't have to worry about that. You will change those details at the interview, right in front of the consular or in front of the personnel checking. But that cost me some extra time. It cost me a cheat that sent me outside of the embassy to go and change the host. And you don't want anything like that in that kind of moment, because my DS260 had my first host. Now here I am coming with a new host on my interview. They're thinking it's going to just be automatic.
Okay, to elaborate on that, what he's trying to mean is when he presented his documents, there is a time where he presented the host documents and he informed the person receiving the document that I need to change the host in the system.
Yes, in the
system. So the person told him, I cannot change it it for you. You have to go out, get a cyber cafe,
Oh, yeah, they're called
and
cybers.
change
I
it.
remember cybers.
And change it from there.
Yeah.
So this person did not give him time. He was like, do it or else you're gonna be disqualified.
Yes.
So it's something simple, but you might think, oh, I will do it at the embassy. Now, in your group, some of you who have groups like DV groups, you are being told. He was told same way.
Yeah, in the group.
Same thing. Was told, just go reach there, just change your host. It is enough. Like for my case, I will tell you something small about my case. There, I had a host and I had a place where I'm going to live. So they were totally different. A place where I'm going to live is my address where I will be living. You might live with your auntie or live with somebody, but your sponsor is somebody else.
Correct.
So for me, I was living somewhere. Then a friend of mine told me I better put my sponsor as where I'm going to live because it will raise questions about why am I living in some place, other place than sponsor's place. So I just did that for the sake of not being asked a lot of questions by the interviewer. So where we have stopped with his story, he was asked to go out and do it from the cyber. All right. So you ran out.
So in that moment, the heart is racing. So I ran out. And the funny thing is, when I first approached the lady at the window, I told her of the situation. Then she said, no, that's no problem. No problem. I'll change that for you. Then she told me to go back and sit. If like 5 minutes later, the same lady calls me back and says, you know what? You have to go outside and change this way. So she wrote me a check-in, a check-out.
Okay, so it's like a pass.
It's like a pass. And it's
15 minutes?
Time bound. I think I was going to say 30, but I think it was 15.
They always give you 15 minutes.
They give you 15 minutes
but
to go outside.
Don't worry about it. True, they give you 15 minutes and you have to. But the good thing about it, they give you a sheet showing that you already have. You are already inside. If you are already inside, she'll give you this sheet. So you run out, clear whatever you have to clear, and come back.
You'll be allowed.
Whatever amount of time you took, try to take as less amount of time as possible because remember, they gave you few minutes, and you cannot take few minutes out there. You have to find the cyber, and you have to click inside, log in.
Sometimes you find a line in the cyber.
You find a line on the cyber. But one thing, Kenyan cybers near the American embassies, please, you cheat us a lot. These guys, if you know the amount which they will charge you, guys, it will be like a plane ticket.
Because they know you have nowhere to go.
They know you need them, and they will charge you a lot of money. They will take like $20. They will take like $30.
I converted and they charged me after bargaining in Ugandan shillings. I calculated and it was 75,000. For how long?
That
for
is
around
like $20.
For something that needs 10 minutes. Just log in, change.
Yeah,
this,
just change
out.
something. That will be in my country. It would have been done by 2,000 Ugandan shillings.
Yes.
Even by yourself, they can give you only minutes, and you just, it takes $1 in our country, but when you reach there and the embassy sends you out, you remember these guys are going to charge you an amount which is unbelievable. Yeah. So take us through. You went and changed and came back.
I went, changed. I had, in fact, when I reached the cyber, they had a problem accessing my portal. So it was very complex. Just when you're praying, these are the things that you should pray that God helps you not to get into. Because when I reached the cyber, the network jammed and time was shifting. But long story short, it worked out. I changed the host in the system, came back. Of course, that was way beyond 15 minutes, but I was let in, went back, and from then on, everything went smoothly till I had to be called to the final window.
All right. Thank you for that piece of information. Guys, I'm Aaron Isende and it's Enockey.
Enockey, yeah.
All right. Okay, guys, now this is the time you have been waiting for. He's going to take us through his interview, and I believe you're going to have a lot of questions for you guys who are out there. His case, he's single, he's not married, he's single, and he has his high school, so he has all necessary documents. They have already been taken in by the receiver at the document counter. So he was called back for the interview. Now the documents are with the interviewer. This is the consulate or consular, American Embassy, Nairobi location. This is the time you have been waiting for. So this
interview.
Story might make you cry.
Yes, one thing I remember that made things easier also, when you are on that window, the window before the final window, you know the windows are close to each other. So when you're on this window of submitting documents, you can see and hear everything going on in the next window. The questions being asked, and you can see someone being handed a paper. So the time I was submitting my documents, there was a certain woman next to me on the final window, and her interview went really well. It was very short, and I saw her receiving the green paper like this. So I felt like, yeah, that could also be me now. So it really encouraged me. So when I was called on the final window, of course, these consulars, by the way, are very kind. Even the stories I was hearing, the group of that consular who wears glasses on window 8 is very tough. Ready not to go there. I think I actually went to that consular because I remember the person who interviewed me had glasses, but he was actually nice. I was asked a maximum of around 4 questions, and these were almost the most obvious questions. Number one, they're not trying to. What makes this interview different from a regular US visa interview is that they're not trying to find out if you are going to come back home. Because when you go for a regular US interview, you have to convince them that I'm only going for a business trip and that's it. I'm only going to visit and that's it. So they'll ask you questions to see or to test you.
Okay.
Test your
But
willingness
by
to come back.
regular US interview is trying to mean the school, like you're going to study, you're going for visit visa, you're going for a tourist visa, you're going whichever visa is out there. That's what it's trying to mean. Because with those visas, they are trying to see whether you're not going to work instead of whatever reason you put on your application. So that's what it's trying to mean. But with this visa, this is an immigration visa. You're free to say, I'm going to leave, I'm going to work, I'm going to study, I'm going. They're not asking some question which will make you fail your interview. They just want to know. They just want to know. They want to know, is this person genuine? He really wants to go to America? Is it his dream? Because this is a dream come true, and they know they're giving you a chance to go there, and they want a character of somebody who is going to benefit their country, not the person who's. You cannot start saying, I'm going to go and fight, or I'm going to go and steal, I'm going to go and engage myself in criminal records. Go ahead. So how did it start? How did it end? How did it move? What did you want us to know?
Yes. Yeah. So at the interview, I remember it was window 8. When I read before the consular was a gentleman. Of course, doesn't really matter. What matters is they ask you questions, and these are very, really easy questions. They're simply trying to engage with you, and if you are lucky, you can actually land on someone who is humorous. You know, they'll make sure you smile. You know, I was asked about 4 questions. Number one, I was asked if I have a university degree. I was asked if I have a university degree, and my answer was no. Why did I say no? It's because by the time I went for the interview, I hadn't completed my university. Of course, in the DS260, I made it clear that I am at the university, but I am studying, but I haven't graduated. So when they ask you such a question, they're trying to find out if you're going to say something like, I have a university degree, yet you don't have it yet. So at the end of the day, what does it tell you? Be as honest as possible. Be as honest as possible. Don't say, because now at that point, by the time you reach the interview, there's nothing that they don't know about you. There's nothing that they don't know about you. They know everything. So be honest. They also asked me about my relationship status. They asked me about my relation. When they reached that question, funny enough, there's a way they emphasize it. The consular said, asked me, looked me in the face, and he said, "Are you currently in a long-term relationship?" In a long-term relationship, and he really wanted a genuine answer, and my answer was no. So when they ask you such a question, you are free to actually say yes, even though you didn't indicate it in the DS-260. Because in the DS-260, there's no provision for fiancé, girlfriend. It's not there. There's only provision for spouse and children to be included along with you. So at that point, if they ask you that question of a relationship and you indeed have someone, you are free to say yes. And what they will do is that they will ask you for details of that person. And if you need to file for them at a later time, it will be much easier for them. So that was my education, my relationship status. They asked me if I've been at the wrong side of the law. I said no. There is no reason why you'd say yes. I think even though you've been, what matters is evidence. If you have your police clearance and it shows a clear record, and indeed you have ever been at the wrong side of the law, there's no reason why you throw yourself in the ditch.
There is a reason you could say yes, because with the law, it's a law. You can be against, you can be at the wrong side of the law at a certain time, and you serve your sentence. After your sentence, you get cleared by the court. So by that, they want to know about you. What did you face and what was wrong? And are you cleared out of that mess you did? So that's all what they need. But with
obviously, if you have ever been, should I say, if you've gone as far as court, you can't hide that, because anything that goes to court is documented. What I'm trying to say is that, let me say you got involved in a crime that you were never,
you are never in the court, and or you went to the police,
you never took any fingerprints of someone.
I think in that
something documented.
I think most of the cases in our country you can solve it at the police station.
Just make sure your fingerprints don't get into the system.
So guys, I know some of you have maybe you fought, maybe you
these riot things, these things arrest people when
maybe
they arrest, put you on the pickup.
And we welcome you to Aaron Intended live in Massachusetts, USA. All right, guys, I have Enoch, and he's taking us through the interview, Nairobi U.S. Embassy. So you are talking about the clearance, that is the police clearance. Tell us more about that.
Yes, so the police clearance, of course, you'll have your police clearance certificate or certificates. What I did for me, remember after my 2NL, after my first NL, I didn't know when my 2NL was coming. So from that period, since May 2021, I filed for police clearance, and when it expired, I went for another one because I didn't know when I would need it. So I took all my old police clearances that I had just to show my police record, my criminal record, that it was clear. And they'll ask you that kind of question. Have you ever been on the wrong side of the law? So if you have and it was documented, go ahead and say yes. And it's not meant to fail you, but it's just showing honesty. Because if you lie to them, they can see it. It's just a matter of scanning through your records. And if you haven't, of course, just say no. So apart from the police clearance, the relationship questions, and I'm not saying these are the questions that are standard. Questions are case-to-case basis. The questions they ask a single person are not the questions they're going to ask a married couple or an engaged couple. No, they're different. We're simply giving you our experiences so that you can maybe find some intersecting areas. Maybe if you're single as well, you're most likely to be asked. Maybe one question might be similar, at least one. And I was also asked about my host details. I was asked the name of my host and the address.
Okay.
Basically, they will ask about it in a simple way, as simple as, where are you going to stay in the US? Where are you going to stay? So you must have at least try to memorize your host's address.
Yeah.
Maybe it's this 1 this kind of street in this
Okay.
city in this state.
To add on that, in US there is addresses. It's not like in our countries whereby you will mention your village name, but you don't know the number, the street name. There isn't that kind of stuff there. But in US there is a street number. First of all, there's a room number, a building number, all name, and there's a street number or name. Then there is a city. From a city, it goes to a state. From a state to the country.
Yeah.
So yeah, and it will be necessary for you at the embassy, and they ask. Okay, take us through.
Correct. So those are like 4 questions I was asked. They didn't ask so many, and from there, as soon as you answer the questions they want, there will be no further ado. You will simply see him reaching out in a certain shelf and picking a document that looks like this.
This is your document.
This is the paper was issued. So this, as you can see, it's a green paper.
You show them.
It's a green paper. I'm going to flash it in a minute. So this is the green paper that will be issued. It has Embassy of the United States and shows where you got the interview from, and it's basically a congratulations. This has no sensitive information. That's why I'm making it public. But it's basically congratulating you, and it's evidence that you've passed the interview.
Show them. Okay.
Yes.
This paper is from the US Embassy, telling him you have been offered a visa. They would, by this, it means his passports will be remaining. His passport will be remaining at the US Embassy, and here they are saying your visa has been approved. The embassy will work with DHL courier service to have your visa delivered to the DHL location of your choice. You should immediately register DHL. So you have to register DHL. Like you have to put your information in the DHL so that you have to select a preferred
branch
location, branch in Kenya.
Center,
in Kenya, not in your country, guys. Not in Rwanda, not in Southern Sudan, not in Uganda, not in Tanzania.
I think at the end of the day, it's where the DHL location in the country where you've done the interview.
Yes,
if you've done your interview in Rwanda, there will be interview, maybe DHL Kigali. In other words, the DHL is close to the embassy
wherever you want.
Yeah.
If you get this piece of paper, just know you're coming to America. You can see there is a Department of State, United States of America, Embassy of the United States, Nairobi, Kenya. All right. So when you received it, what happened?
So you receive, obviously, the opposite of this one is a red paper. Red paper.
Okay.
That one doesn't sound very intimate, but
does it mean you have failed?
The red paper.
Oh my God.
The red paper means you've not been accepted. Now, I don't know if there are provisions of petitions where people go ahead and petition that maybe the decision wasn't fair. I mean, I personally know a family that was given a red paper, and then they were called back again after a few days for another interview. So I don't know what that meant, but you want to really avoid the red paper. You don't want to walk out of that room with a red paper.
Okay, guys, this interview is particularly about his case, so there will be a lot to share with him in the next videos, as you will be receiving notifications in future. So, guys, today that is the interview time. So now I'm gonna ask him about traveling to the United States. What next from picking from picking his passport to seeing the visa in the passport and preparations, what was delivered by the DHL and which DHL did you use. There's a lot to watch out for. Now, Enoch is going to take us through receiving his visa in his passport, then to the time of traveling and everything. What next? All right, Enoch, please.
Thank you, Aaron. So I've finished my interview. I've got my green paper. From there, remember I registered my details where I wanted the embassy to mail my passport, and the passport, where they're going to mail the passport with a visa stamped in it.
Okay.
Yes.
In other words, when you finish your visa interview, you are given a green paper, which we showed you in the first video. So the embassy keeps the passport. Then they give you a period of 1 week.
It could be 1 week or
to
less.
Receive passport with the visa.
Meaning the sealed document.
A package, that package is sealed. That package is sealed and it has documents which you have to present at your port of entry. Okay, so when you received, tell us about how did you receive your passport and how excited were you and what went on?
Yes, so I got to know about, of course, I knew my DHL dates that I had to pick my document, my sealed package. Like you said, that package they'll give you, you'll get your passport.
Wait, how long did it take for your
to
receive?
It took me 5 days.
5 days.
Yeah, but it was
waiting in Uganda, or you waited in Kenya?
Waiting in Kenya, but I'm talking about 5 days, 5 working days. Right. My interview was what day was our interview? Tuesday, Wednesday. It must have been a Tuesday.
It was like a Tuesday.
It was a Tuesday. So when they say 5 days, obviously you might have to go into the next week.
Okay.
So that's what happened for me. And
5 working days.
5 working days. So eventually I had to pick my passport from DHL along with a sealed document. That sealed document that you talked about, it is that document that you're not supposed to open. You're not supposed to open it. It will be a big envelope. It is sealed. If you mess with it, if you tamper with it, you'll have problems at the port of entry. You must maintain it as it is. What you must do is get your passport. Of course, I was going to say get your passport out, but it may confuse you. Your passport won't be in the sealed document. It will be outside of the sealed document. So just get your passport, and that is what you're going to use for your for the next steps, right? But keep that other document
sealed
and untampered with.
So you got the visa. Which kind of visa did you get?
So I got it. It showed that it's a permanent resident visa.
I thought it was an immigrant visa, like.
Yes, but on the when you open that visa at the bottom, the passport where they've stamped the visa, it clearly says this is a permanent resident visa, and it's going to act as a temporary green card for 1 year.
For 1 year, all right.
Those are the words that will be written. Because when you arrive in the US, you won't get your green card straight away. So they give that allowance that before you get your green card, you can use this visa as your temporary green card. In other words, with that visa, you can apply for a job. You can do certain things that would, in any other case, require an actual green card.
All right. So how did you travel to America, and how was it? So within a few words, you can take us through it.
Sure. All right. When I returned from Nairobi, the first thing I had to do was clear my green card fee. That was a total of $220 because you're supposed to clear that.
So you paid online?
I paid online.
Okay.
You're supposed to clear it after the interview, but before you travel to the US.
But no, it's not definitely that you have to clear before you travel.
That is the recommendation.
Some of us cleared when we entered in the US, then we paid the
green card fee. Yeah. Well, it's one of those things where I would personally recommend. That's just like how we said for high school and work. if you have your high school, it's the best thing, but there's also another way out. But in the guidelines, they will tell you that if you're able to pay it before you actually move to the US.
Move to the US.
Yes.
Okay. So you paid it, and
So I paid it. That's, I think that it's called the USCIS fee.
okay.
USCIS fee. You pay it, and then it's meant to process your green card. So in other words, if you don't pay it, you may not get your green card.
You might delay your green card.
No, if you don't pay it, you won't. You definitely won't get a green card if you don't pay it, because it's what's meant to process.
You might delay. I think you might delay. You might get it until you decide to pay.
Thank you. That would be the perfect way to say it. So personally, I didn't want to delay moving.
So
I didn't want to delay moving. So as soon as I came back to Uganda, I paid it within that same week I came back. And remember, I had done my interview on 2nd September. And then by the time I left Nairobi after getting the passport, the visa and everything, it was about halfway of September. So my plan was to travel before the end of November.
Okay.
But in short, I ended up traveling at the very end of October.
October, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So when I traveled, actually, let me correct this. My memory is now flashing back. Actually, the exact date I traveled was 1st October. Beginning of October, yes.
Okay.
I traveled 1st October. Okay. I didn't want to prolong things. In this period, you're given a period of 6 months after you get your visa. That allowance, you have 6 months to look for that money. But after the 6 months, you cannot move.
You cannot travel to US.
However much you have the visa stamped in your passport, and your 6 months expire, you have lost the opportunity. You just have to apply again. You have to repeat from square one.
Yeah.
So it's really better to travel as soon as you are able to. You have time to prepare yourself, to get a few things cleared. But if you're able to, if there's nothing holding you back home, plan to travel as soon as possible. So that's when I traveled. So I would say there was a period of about, I can say, a month from when I did my interview to when I moved.
So what did you travel with? How did you, when you reached the port of entry, which port of entry did you use, and how was your experience? How did you feel? Which flight? Tell us about that.
That was a whole other experience also. And this is, for me personally, it was my first time flying. It was my first time into the United States. And there was a lot of things to make inquiries about. Everything is new, so you have to be, that's why earlier he talked of these DV groups. Utilize these groups. Those groups have people who have information. Those groups actually have lawyers, immigration lawyers, and these people are willing to offer any immigration help for free. You just ask any question. I had friends who I was with by the interview.
Yeah.
And these people were clueless. They didn't know. There were a lot of things they didn't know about. And this is because they were doing everything on their own. There was a family that didn't know that they had to certify their Kenyan certificates. And when they reached the and yet the interview was the next day.
Wow.
And asked them, are you in any DV group? They're like, no, we have just been Googling everything. It's good to Google things. Google is helpful, but there's certain information that will just make your life easier.
Yeah, try to look for these groups for more information.
Yeah,
you have to look for a group to belong to, so that you can share advices to each other and know about the person who done the interview, who is done with the interview. Should tell you about how it was and yeah, what you should expect. So that's a piece of advice from us. Yeah. So how was it at your port of entry?
Everything's prepared, everything's set. I prepared to move. I moved on as I said, 1st October. I booked with Delta. And I booked with Delta. There were 2 airlines. The main one was this I'm forgetting actually the name of the airlines, but it's from Netherlands.
KLM, Brussels.
KLM, thank you. KLM, that's it. Yeah. So I booked with KLM. Now KLM, I think, partners with Delta. So from Uganda to Amsterdam.
All right.
I used KLM, and then from KLM to Boston, Logan International Airport, Boston, I used Delta.
Okay.
Yes.
That means you use KLM, just that Delta took over a flight.
Yes, correct. From Amsterdam.
From Amsterdam, but you use the KLM. Okay.
Yeah. So I mean, the experience was interesting. I was with family the entire, entire journey. Family was really part of the whole process.
You are with family. What do you mean? You are with family?
Like from the process of moving. I'm not saying I moved with family.
Okay.
I actually moved alone. I moved alone because I applied for the DV and I won, and I had to move alone.
Okay, so family was there for you.
So family was there for me, pushing me to the airport.
Mother, they were there.
Okay. Yeah, even beyond father and mother.
We're going to share a few photos of him at the airport with his father. I think I saw that photo.
You might have seen it
on the status, so we're gonna share it somewhere. Do you still have it? I believe you have it.
Definitely. Hey,
we shall share it around here, so guys, you can see how happy he was and how he looked like before. Now he's totally changed.
Yeah, really comparing.
Yeah, he should have changed a lot. Yeah, when you come here, you really change a lot, guys.
But I think I've not changed a lot.
You think?
I think I've not.
But you have.
Maybe here. I think I had less hair.
Just compare, and you change money-wise, you change wisdom-wise, you change a lot. So I'm telling you, someone, when you meet somebody now, if you go home, you'll be like, I see dollars.
And sometimes you're not conscious of the changes.
Yeah.
But someone else can tell you, hey, you've changed, right?
So how was it at the point of entry, and what happened? Now, guys, we are ending our stories from the port of entry and how we reached the host. Yeah, a little bit of words about that, so we won't elaborate more, but please take us through that.
Arriving at the port of entry, I just had to make sure that I had all my documents nearby, especially the sealed envelope and all other travel documents. Keep all those documents right next to you, be it the COVID certificate, be it your passport, the sealed envelope, because the sealed envelope is meant to be presented to the officer at your port of entry. And what do you mean by the port of entry? It is not where you, now like me, I moved from Delta, I mean with KLM from Uganda to Amsterdam. I didn't have to present the sealed envelope in Amsterdam, no, because that is not my port of entry. Amsterdam was just a stopover.
Yeah, because port of entry is in US, where how you enter US, the point where you enter US from, you have to present those documents. So how was it like?
So I reached the port of entry. I had to, in the US, everything is really, it was my first time traveling, but as long as you follow directions and you know what to do, you just, in case you don't know, in case you are ignorant about something, there's always people you can ask.
So your point of entry was Logan.
That was Logan International Airport.
Massachusetts, Boston.
Correct.
So how was it? What unique thing do they have in Logan, which other port of entry don't have? What did you realize there?
I mean, I wouldn't.
Did you line up in the citizens lane or non-immigrants?
Now, yeah, it's now more clear. So there was something actually that shocked me. Of course, it hadn't come to my mind. I thought when I go to the port of entry, I'm probably going to line up on the side of the US citizens. But my friend, when you go there, you're not yet a citizen.
And you're not yet a resident.
And you're not even, I think you're a resident.
You're a resident, but you're still not a fully resident.
Yes, because you haven't even got your green card.
So you cannot go to the lines of the green card.
You cannot go to the lines of green card holders or citizens.
Yeah.
So there's a particular line. Like I've said, if you don't know anything, those officers at the ports of entry are always willing to help. Just ask. Because at the end of the day, what you don't want is giving your sealed envelope to someone who you're not supposed to give it to, and
Yeah.
it is just one copy. You're not going to retrieve it.
All right.
You have to give it to the right person.
Yeah.
And when you hand it over to them, what they will do is that they will inspect it to see if indeed it is not tampered with. When they inspect it and it's not tampered with, they'll open it, they'll check it, and they'll tell you what to do next. They'll clear you for entry.
I think they will tell you welcome to America.
That is the most satisfying statement.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Before on YouTube, I saw one guy who said that when I will, personally, he told us we shall reach point of entry and they will give us a direction to the USA citizen lane, but this wasn't possible for my case and his case. It wasn't possible. I thought I would go through the line for the citizen, for the residents, but they gave us the same line with the nanny migrants and all that kind of people. So guys, don't overwhelmed that you have received when you reach on the port of entry, you're gonna be treated as a resident or as a citizen. Please guys, just be humble, follow whichever line they will direct you to follow, but guys, just don't be overwhelmed that you have arrived, you are a citizen, you are a resident. Just be humble.
Correct.
You haven't yet reached the destination. Yeah, you have to follow.
You have to go through you have to trust the process.
You have to trust the process. Until you're a resident, you're gonna be a resident soon. Just follow the line and you'll get through, and they'll take your documents, and you'll be able to enter America with a welcome by the officer. He will welcome you home.
Yes, so from there I'm assuming you contacted your host or whichever person was supposed to pick you up. And I mean, from there, it's really much easier because you don't have any more presenting and documentation.
Yeah, we shall share some photos of him and us arriving in America. Okay, guys, this is the end of our video. It has been a long video, but thank you for listening and thank you for watching our video. And guys, subscribe and follow his channel. It's Enockey, and he's a nice guy. You can follow him from YouTube, Instagram,
basically.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm here with Aaron Tende, his neighborhoods, Waltham,
Yeah, man. I'm with Enockey. Follow him on his YouTube channel.